Well, I'll kick off then, shall I?
Okay, lovely.
So Arwin Harris from Huish Episcopi Parish Council, and does Sean want to introduce himself now before I preamble, or?
Well, I'll just say I'm Sean Drumgoole from Langport Town Council, and we worked jointly because our two parishes are sort of totally interwoven. And part of the thing that pushed towards this was trying to get some picture of how many people felt it might be worth our two parishes working together on lots of other things as well. But part of it was just trying to understand what people wanted and what we needed and what the local priorities were.
Yeah, and I think it also came about because we in Huish Episcopi wanted to push on with a neighbourhood plan, but whoever we spoke to and seemed to feel, and probably quite rightly so, that we couldn't really go ahead with a neighbourhood plan without Langport's involvement, simply because of the unique, well, relatively unique position we're in, where we've got two councils that are looking after this one community.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Huish were keener to do a neighbourhood plan than we were, basically because a neighbourhood plan is a slightly more planning-based enterprise, and Langport hasn't got any land left for planning, so the level of enthusiasm was necessarily lower. The effect, and we'll come on to the effects later, but the effect has been to greatly raise awareness and interest in doing a neighbourhood plan in Langport. So if that was all part of Arwin's devious and brilliant plan, it's worked. It's worked.
Great. The next question is, which you've answered a little bit, but I don't know, are there any other reasons why you wanted to do this? Was there any other hot topics, or was it simply to understand what your community felt?
I think the burning thing to begin with was to understand the level of support for the merging the two councils within the community, and we got a very strong result on that, and we're very pleased with that. As the process developed, and this is a process, this isn't a we want this now and we'll get that then, this is a let's start thinking about this, let's open the doors, let's consult, let's see what other people are interested in kind of a process. As it developed, all sorts of other things emerged, and they emerged as things we realized we didn't know about. Then once we'd done the survey part, they emerged as things we really hadn't understood the level at which it was a priority. And it's easy to look back and say, oh, well, we knew traffic was an issue. But when you've got, more than half the survey coming back going, this is the key priority and this is a real problem in our area and so on. And it varies across where different people live. Those people who live in the concentrated centre of our town are very, very concerned by the levels of traffic right in the middle. Those who live out by where Arwin is, by the school, much more worried about HGVs rattling around the place and so on. But these things come piling home. So as we now go back and seek to sort of negotiate with highways and seek to try and raise some money for some traffic calming and other schemes, we can say, look, 80% of the population think this, 70% of the population think that. So it's a huge tool, but it's like the laser was invented before they found something to do with it for 10 years. The community plan has thrown up oodles of stuff that we can now prioritize and action that we previously couldn't.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. And as Sean says, it's there are different things traffic wise. Yeah, you've got the bottleneck in Langport. We've got speeding issues through Huish Episcopi, which probably and there's lots, and when you start to look at it and realize that all of these things are interrelated, so it's the traffic, it's transport, and so we've now got, as a result of this, the action plan, we've now got a group that's being headed up that's going to cover all of these things under the one kind of topic. But I think one of the key areas about it all has been this community bit, community plan, community review, because of the kind of unique situation we have here, which I referred to just now. there's a lot of people in Huish Episcopi don't actually know that they live in Huish Episcopi. They think they live in Langport. And so it's, I think community is the thing that we've drawn out of it, as well as, all those areas that we need to, sorry, that's my phone going off. That we
Busy
need
man,
to,
Owen, busy man.
yes, yeah. Sorry, lost my track. So
I wanted to come in actually, Owen, and say, you're absolutely right about community. You're completely right about that. But I also wanted to say there's positive things came out of it. So we'll talk perhaps in a second about the structure that evolved to deal with the action plan. But a big chunk of it is entertainments and activities and missing bits. We've got lots going on here, and it's a brilliant area for lots of reasons. But for instance, who knew that we needed a petanque club? But like 70 people came through saying, yeah, good idea. And then a cinema club, for instance. There's some resources we've got that are really well used. There's some that aren't so well used. Those have been thrown up. Now, being able to use those better for more people isn't dull. It's just an easy win, basically. It's a nice, easy, low-hanging fruit that we can pick. So it's not an exercise in whinging, is the point I wanted to make. It's an exercise in picking things up, emphasising, bringing a little light to areas that otherwise we might have missed.
Brilliant. And you talked about it being a process. Have you got any tips of things that worked really well or that you would do differently in terms of the actual process and how you manage that as a community, as a group?
Well, I would say that you managed the process and you managed it very well, and we were very lucky to have that. The only bit where I'm not sure if Arwen's caught out, because he pays much closer attention to things than I do, but where I was caught out was the complete separation between writing the report and the action plan. As we were putting the report together, I put in loads of conclusions and stuff like that, and then realised, don't put those there, strip those out and put them in the action plan. That was the only moment that we were slightly wrong-footed. As a process, you basically go out, have a guess at what, and if you're clever, get some sort of steering committee together that has a guess at what the priorities are, come up with some sort of questionnaire, circulate that fairly widely. We had a big public meeting as well, just to get sort of the biggest obvious issues, make sure we didn't miss anything. Sit down, bash out the questionnaire, then do the questionnaire, which you enabled with your Survey Monkey skills and so on. And then that took about a month, got that back. You did the peremptory analysis, so we didn't really have to do that work. All the statistics were there for us to look at. They were also in the Word document. So we just filled in the gaps really with colour and detail and why this is true, and worked out where the big areas were. Then we wrote with a nice format that you gave us, an action plan. Again, we got our steering committee back and involved in that. And that was actually one of our best meetings, was like, here's the stats, lads. What should we do about this? And that was really productive. Finished the action plan. What we've done since, and that's slightly, you gave us some tips for fundraising and things, but that's slightly where we parted ways. What we did, slightly complicated with us because we've got two councils. So we came up with Arwen and I and a couple of others came up with our suggested structure, which was basically governance is one thing to do with our merger and so on. So we have a group of people doing that. Traffic and transport's another one, but just with tiny little 17th century town with lorries going through it. It's not easy. And then entertainments, leisure, activities, sort of. So those three committees, and then anything that wasn't quite under that, we popped in under governance, basically. And those committees, the idea is they'll come back and report as they make progress to the council meetings. The entertainments committee have got off to an absolute flyer. Transport, a little bit slower. What we're trying to do there is prioritise everything, and then we're going to try and have one big meeting with highways and see what happens with that. Governance is quite complicated, so that's going to take time. And we've just had a big chat with the elections department. That's going to take longer. In terms of tips, long answer to a short question, but in terms of tips, you're going to need two people who are really committed to this. One, I think, on their own might get flummoxed. Now, with Arwen and I, we had, Mr. Broad brushstrokes, which is me. Owen is a superb detail man and never forgets anything. So that was kind of a great combo, and we're very lucky that that worked as well as it did. But you're good. I think just one person trying to do it on their own will feel lumbered, but with two who can take up the slack and still go away on vacation and not miss deadlines and so on, that was good. Go on, Owen, give us a tip.
Well, I think that the what really kick-started it was the public meeting and the way we ran that. So what we did was we had the hall at the primary school. I think we advertised it fairly well. We got 70 or 80 people turn out for the meeting, which we thought was quite good. And obviously we explained to everybody, what we were trying to do. But and it was Sean's idea. We then had dotted around the room several different tables, if you like, with members of the steering committee and councillors on hand, and we had flip charts and post-it notes and things, and so and we divided this up into the various elements of the action plan, so that transport and housing and so on and so forth. And then we got people to jot down on their post-it notes, on the flip charts, whatever it was, what their concerns were, what their ideas were. And I think that was very helpful, very fruitful, and once we got that information,
we literally captured everything. And in fact, what happened after that, which is a slightly worky bit, was Owen and I and our clerks sat down and literally went through every single note and made sure that either it, or because you've only got 40 questions did you give us in the end? I can't remember. You can't do everything, you simply can't. But if you've got an understanding of depth, understanding of priority, and also the opportunity for that one silly little question that you just think, actually, you're right about that, we do need to ask about that, that helps. And so you're right, that capture exercise worked really well and was a good launch, basically a good launch. But the process wasn't fearsome because you guys mapped it for us and were available to us, and we didn't get stuck. I know you talked about other people getting stuck in places. We just didn't get stuck, I don't think. But that's a testament to your skills rather than our genius, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sean's right, because we knew that you'd given us this timetable in advance, so we knew what the program was going to be from when it started back in whenever it was. I can't remember now, probably July or something. I don't know, I can't remember. Whenever it was last year, so we knew that we had meetings with you scheduled for these certain dates, and of course, being the joint process, we had that little bit of extra time in which to do it. But I don't think we ever felt really under pressure. No,
I mean, getting the questionnaire out was a thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting the report written was a thing. These things needed doing at the time that you said, but we got them done. It wasn't the end of the world. And it has been so worthwhile, really so worthwhile. It has been.
And I think the bit now...
Sorry, Alvin, you go.
So I was going to say, I think so between us, we've managed to coordinate and control what's been going on, and got the steering committees involved and made sure that all of that both councils were fully informed of what's going on, and obviously have had each of the councils adopt the community, the review and the action plan itself. I think the hard work is now going to start, because we need to, between us, we need to keep on top of the committees that we're setting up to look after, as we've said, about transport and highways and entertainment. So we're going to need to coordinate that and make sure that that we're fulfilling what we've set out in the action plan. So I think the real difficult bit is now going to start.
And have you got any, quick wins? Because you only completed this a couple of months ago, really. Have things happened and changed?
shovels have been lifted on the Pétanque court already on Cockermore.
Brilliant.
I can tell you that. The governance thing is moving forward with much more confidence because of the results of the survey. We thought that would be enough to just get us over the line into a full governance review, but it turns out we've got a little bit more to do. But that has made it quite clear to everyone the direction of travel, which is a big win rather than a little win. In terms of quick wins, no, we're in that slight bit of what we did with the committees was we decided they should be, we choose good chairs for each one, and then they can pick the committee, ideally some councillors from both councils, and then some people from outside who've been really concerned about that particular issue. And that formation has happened with entertainments, not really with the others yet. So that's where we are with that. We're not that far along, but you know, we've only had one meeting since the summer break sort of thing. So that's where we are.
Yeah, I think we're in a little bit of a hiatus at the moment, but hopefully within the next couple of weeks we should be able to kick on and get stuck into those issues that have been highlighted in the action plan. Yeah,
a fair number of people have read it. That's the other thing.
Yes.
They've come back and they respond and they go, what about this? Or I see you've said that, but what about this? So it's a point of engagement in itself, that's a quick win, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you. That's brilliant. I thought one of the things that I think came out of it was the local produce market last week. Because I think
Thank you for reminding me.
That
yes,
was
indeed.
in the plan, wasn't it? It was quite a high. I remember it.
It was a conclusion from the plan. We didn't really ask about it up front. The situation in Langport is we have a precinct in the middle, and that has had a market that, recently we had a big success with something called the vintage market, and that sort of kicked off and become what I'm now calling a headline market, and people travel to Langport especially for it and so on. So the idea is to get a couple more of those. And our first attempt at that was the local produce market, which was last Saturday, not the Saturday just now, but the one before. And it was a huge success. And the traders all loved it and sold plenty. The public seemed to love it because they thronged, and we're all marching around feeling rather gleeful about it.
I think that's really
Brilliant.
helpful. Though.
That's
it's
really helpful, and it's lovely to hear that, you know, you've got those three groups set up on their way to being fully set up and moving those things forward, because I think, as you say, the hard work is now really.
It is, and what we've done is slightly give the groups to other people to do, so that we can then lean back in as and when is necessary, and but not allow other people to engage with it and take it forward, make it their own. That's the thing. But the other point is that it's going to bring that neighbourhood plan that we hugely need closer and better understood.
That's great.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for